1 minute, the Dodgers are sweeping the Padres, retaking the lead in the NL West. Then the next, losing to the worst team in baseball. The Rockies should probably put Teoscar Hernández in their Christmas card list this year.
You are Locked On Dodgers, your daily Los Angeles Dodgers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It's time for Locked On Dodgers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I wish I could say I'm surprised, but in reality, I was expecting this. A big letdown after a huge sweep this weekend. The Dodgers dropped the series opener against the bottom-feeding Rockies, who should thank Teoscar Hernández for his defensive play at right field last night, Travis.
Yeah, it was a very rough night for Teoscar Hernández, which we will get into on today's episode of Locked On Dodgers, brought to you by FanDuel. Football season's just around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now.
He's Travis Rodgers. I'm Harry Ruiz, two guys who talk sports for a living and bleed Dodger Blue for life. If you're an early bird listener of our show, you can get more Travis on 710 ESPN LA or the ESPN LA app from 9 to noon with the Travis and DeMarco show. As for me, I'm the Spanish play-by-play broadcaster for the USC Football Trojans and the Las Vegas Raiders. But nothing beats jumping on the mic every weekday morning and diving deep into what I love most, which is talking Dodger baseball with you. Today, we're talking all things Dodgers, Rockies, and also Commissioner Rob Manfred is stirring the pot again on expansion and realignment. Where exactly would the Dodgers fit in a new MLB landscape? But first, I said while closing yesterday's show that it was a bounce back time for Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and the Japanese hurdler delivered. 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, and 3 earned runs. That's a quality start at any ballpark. At Coors Field, that's a really good outing. His curveball was nasty, and he took advantage of it. At one point, he retired 13 in a row. This loss right here, Travis, not his fault.
No, he was really good. Excuse me, Harry. This was a solid performance, like you mentioned, under any circumstances. Oddly enough, Yamamoto has really good numbers in Coors Field. Like, he has actually been one of the few guys that has been able to go in there and kind of be himself. We know that place is a bit of a graveyard for pitchers, but as you mentioned, 7 innings, 4 hits, that is a terrific outing under any circumstances. It kind of keeps the ball rolling of all the guys that have been able to take the ball and succeed, starting with Clayton Kershaw over the weekend. We saw Blake Snell, we saw Tyler Glasnow. We'll see if Emmett Sheehan can kind of keep the streak alive. But no, Ezequiel Tovar kind of has Yamamoto's number. There's just a weird deal where even if you're one of the best in the business, and I believe that Yamamoto is, there are just going to be a guy or two around the world. It has nothing to do with sometimes it's a Hall of Famer, and sometimes it's just a guy that's in the league that wears you out. And Tovar is that guy for Yamamoto. So, the guy that was most likely to get him got him. But I agree with you. Yamamoto had he can feel pretty good about what he did last night for sure.
It's 13 times now this year that he has pitched at least 6 innings. All of them quality starts, meaning no more than 3 earned runs. Out of those, it's the 6th time that he has pitched 7 innings. Unfortunately, like you said, in the 7th, he gave up the lead with a solo home run from Ezequiel Tovar that tied the game. But when you're talking about he had only allowed 2 runs through 6, and then he gave up a third in the 7th, the team had only scored 3 runs at that point. 6 base runners in the first 3 innings, only scored twice, including Shohei and Mookie getting singles to start the first inning. They weren't even able to move to third base. Then 3 base runners the rest of the game, only scored 1 time in that span. In the 3rd inning, they had a double from Freddie Freeman. From then, 2 for 20 up at bat. These bats in Colorado, they have to produce anywhere, but especially in Colorado, if you get men on base, you got to bring them home, Travis. And the Dodgers, they couldn't adjust. They struck out, 12 times yesterday?
Yeah.
You got to put the ball in play.
Yeah, it was a weird night for him. I think you brought up a good point that in the first inning, you're like Shohei gets a hit, Mookie gets a hit, and you're like, okay, here we go. This is Coors Field. They're going to score a bunch of runs. This is a very good start, and they don't get anything. And here comes a sentence you don't say very often. It was a really bad at bat from Freddie Freeman. Like Freddie Freeman is one of the best in the business and one of the, he's walking straight into the Hall of Fame, but that was a bad at bat by Freeman. He chased on a 3-2 pitch that was way out of the zone. You typically don't see something like that. And, this was a loss, two-parter. Number one, 3 runs in Coors Field is almost never going to be enough. That's just not nearly enough offense, especially a Dodger team that came in. Their starting pitching, like we just talked about, has been really good. Their offense has been kind of sporadic, hit and miss. The everydayers will know this. I like the Dodgers at my most when they can create runs without hitting home runs. Well, they couldn't really do it last night. They've become more home run dependent again. I would like to see them be able to manufacture a little bit more, but they did not get hits when they needed hits. And then I know it's coming up in a little bit. What happened in right field last night is completely inexcusable. And just it was a rough night. Now, here's the good news. Sweeping a 4-game series is difficult under the very best of circumstances. So 3 out of 4, I think if you would have said to a Dodger fan coming into this series, you're going to win 3 out of 4, will you take it? I think the answer would be yes, I would take it. So they can still do that. They can go out there and win the next 3 games and feel pretty good about it. Now, a split is not good. Anything worse than that is flat out a catastrophe. So they're on track. It's the first time they've lost to Colorado all season long. Even a very bad team will beat a very good team. We saw it last night. Once in a while. It's just what happens next, I think, is the most important part.
Yeah, the Dodgers were 6-0 against Colorado this season, and this is their first defeat. Like you said, 3 more opportunities for them to play. I understand also giving Will Smith 2 days off in this 4-game series out in Colorado before a huge series on the road against the Padres. You brought it up. Padres lost to the Giants. I think it's the first time I'm actually not mad that the Giants have won. And after them just laying down in the Bay for the Padres last week, at least now they played a little bit more competitive down in the 6-1-9 against them. But you look also at the situation where the second half of the season, the Dodgers right now, they have a losing record. But in the last 9 games against teams with winning records, so going back to the series against the Reds on the road, Blue Jays at home, and then this last sweep against the Padres at Dodger Stadium, the Dodgers are 7-2. If you go back to their last 5 games against teams with a losing record, that takes us back to the sweep against the Angels, this one against the Rockies, and missing one game. St. Louis, exactly, 0-5. Winless against the last 5 teams that they played with a losing record. This right here, I know that in the playoffs, you're going to be playing teams with winning records. That's great. You got to be motivated for those. You also have to pounce. You got to take advantage of playing with teams that you're supposed to beat. And the Dodgers did that in the first half of the season. Right now in the second half, they're struggling against them. Yeah,
they've been pretty good at taking care of their business against bad teams traditionally over the last several seasons. I think that's one of the things that they've really thrived on in this run over the last 12 or 13 years is they take care of bad teams. They have not done that of late. I do think there's a focus issue. I do think there's just this, you said it coming into the show, Harry, that a bit of a letdown after a really tough series against San Diego. I think that probably it's human nature to kind of take a deep breath and think, okay, we got this one tonight. Well, they didn't have it. They need to get back on it. Don't lose again. Don't take care of your business through the rest of the series, and the rest of this will take care of itself. Nobody's going to run the table against anybody in the major leagues. That's just not how it works. So make sure you take care of the next 3 games of this series, and everything will be all right. But you kind of put yourself in a box by losing in the opening game of the series, where now you don't have a ton of wiggle room moving forward.
Yeah, someone yesterday on YouTube short that I posted was saying, trade in your Dodgers hat for a Padres hat. You can't be a fair weather fan like this. I'm like, man, we host a daily podcast here on Locked On Dodgers. We got to talk the great, the good, the bad, the ugly. And the Dodgers lost the game against the worst team in baseball. We got to say it as it is. And they have an opportunity to come back and win today, win tomorrow, and then win once again on Thursday, and everybody will forget about it. A split against the Rockies, though, that wouldn't be good for the boys in blue.
No, it wouldn't. And obviously, it's one of these things. They might even have a split in this series, and it wouldn't be the end of the world. It would be the worst scenario I think that you could have coming out of this particular series. But we're getting in the short amount of time. You're going to go play the team that you're playing, that you're competing with again at the end of the month, or I should say at the end of the week. It's the last time you're going to see them. You do have your schedule the rest of the way, which, at least on the surface of it, looks pretty favorable. You really, after this series against San Diego this weekend, the last one you look at against a really good team, you have Philadelphia in September. You get Seattle to end your season. You play the Mariners in the final 3 games of the season. That's really all that's left. Everything else is somewhere between mediocre to straight up bad. So they're in a pretty good spot. That series against the Padres really gave them a little breathing room. Take care of your business the rest of this way. Take care of your business. Win a game or 2 in San Diego, and win 2. You pick up a game. Win 1. They can only pick up 1 game. They're fine. It was a bad loss. That it's the Rockies. I get all of that, but it's not the end of the world.
I'm keeping my eye also on one sneaky good team, the Cincinnati Reds. They're 1 game back from the wild card, and we play against them next week. So you got to be careful with them, and you also got to be careful.
Last thing I saw, Harry, and I don't know if it's still true. I saw it like 5 or 6 days ago, so maybe something has changed, but I'm not sure. Cincinnati is the only team in baseball all season long that has not been swept in a series.
Yeah, exactly. And the Dodgers, they could have done it, and they missed on their opportunity out there. And something that we got to be very careful with as well is defensive outfielders. Next on Locked On Dodgers, how much longer will Teoscar Hernández defense at right field continue being a liability?
August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So you see somebody that you like. I was talking on my radio show the other day. One of the guys I work with is saying Justin Herbert for MVP. There's a long shot for you right there. You want to crown your champion in August? Maybe you're jumping on the Commanders after what you saw on Monday night right there, right? A lot of opportunities for you on Futures Day. And of course, you can parlay your division winner dark horses. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets right now, because Futures Day is 1 day and 1 day only. FanDuel, play your game.
Thanks for making us your first listen wherever you may be tuning in, either on your favorite podcast app or our YouTube channel. Smash that notification bell so you never miss a beat. Full episodes, hot takes, breaking Dodgers news, and the Dodgers Postcast Show with Pete Fox live after the final out of every game. If it drops, you're on it. That's how you become an everydayer here on Locked On Dodgers. Like Miguel, who on Instagram commented last night, it's like they think they're just going to win automatically. It's a big letdown. And yes, a letdown it is, but they had opportunities to both win it and extend the game, and that leads us to talk about Teoscar Hernández at right field. Look, even though he hasn't been as reliable as last year up at the plate, we know that he can hit. But his defense, that's been a major problem for the Dodgers. Time and time again, balls that should be outs turn into runs, and against teams like the Rockies, those mistakes cost you games just like they did on Monday night. Catch probability, according to StatCast, on the fly ball that dropped in front of Teoscar Hernández with an out in the 9th inning, was 99.4%. That means there was a 0.6% chance that it landed, and that's what happened, Travis.
Yeah, the expected batting average when that ball left the ball was .060. It just, it was really an awful play. There's no other way to describe it. It cost him the game. It's pretty rare where you can say this play is the reason you lost the game, and that play was the reason they lost the game. Look, go back to the beginning of the season, and I promise I'm not going to get on the soapbox right now and do the whole Mookie Betts. You have one of the best right fielders ever who's playing shortstop for you. I'm not going to do that. That being said, Teoscar Hernández is at best a mediocre left fielder. Okay, right field is a far more challenging position than left field, and he was barely passable in left field. Teoscar Hernández is on the field because he can swing the bat. Teoscar Hernández is on the field because he can hit home runs. He's not going to really win you a bunch of games with his glove or with his arm. That's not what he does. But there's a couple of things in that play last night that really kind of jumped out at me. Number one, it wasn't just that he looked really slow moving in to come and get that ball, which he did. Go back to Sunday afternoon at Dodger Stadium. There were a couple of balls in right field where he looked particularly slow coming in, and he obviously did not run that ball out on Sunday afternoon as well. That could have been a double. Instead, he gets left at first base. I'm willing to listen to the possibility of perhaps he's got a nagging little injury that he really can't smash the gas and explode to the baseball. Okay, fine. I will listen to that despite the fact that it was still really ugly. My problem isn't just that he looks slow, especially in the outfield. His reads are awful. Like they go back to the Brewer series at Dodger Stadium not that long ago, and we were talking about how the Dodgers are playing sloppy. I mentioned a couple of different times his route to the baseball in the outfield is bad. You know, it's one of these things. You know, the line that you teach the little leaguers is right. We're going to make C's, not L's. We're not taking sharp angles to ball. We're going to round balls off. We're going to get behind him, go to where the ball is going to be, not where it is. And Teoscar Hernández is doing none of those things. It's like he's not seeing the ball well off the bat. Last night's ball was in the air forever. It was almost a ball that the second baseman could have caught if he knew that he had to get out there and get it from the jump. It's just, it was so far into right field that the second baseman never thought that there was any ball other than the right fielders. It wasn't just that he wasn't running particularly hard. It's that he appeared to break really late. And I don't know if the lighting in there is weird. I don't know what. And if it were just one play, you go, okay, he missed it for whatever reason it might have been. It's becoming a trend. And it really, like we were talking about, this is a tight division race. This is a division race that is very likely to go down to the last week or so of the season. And a play or two can swing this division race. Over the course of a season, it's not going to matter all that much. But in the course of a small window, i.e. a playoff series, i.e. a pennant race, a play like that could be the difference between having to go into the wild card round or not, between going on the road or not. And I really think, and I understand that we're still waiting for Hae-Sung Kim to come back. You're still waiting for Tommy Edman to come back. You're still waiting for Kike Hernandez to come back. But they've put themselves in a position where he is so bad out there, in right field in particular. Maybe you slide him over to left and you kind of say, okay, enough of the Michael Conforto time. We're done with that. You put Pajes in right field, and then you have some sort of rotation in center between Edman and Kike and Kim, and Edman can be in the infield periodically or whatever. But leaving Teoscar Hernández in right field seems like something that needs to, and especially, Harry, especially in Coors Field, who has this enormous outfield to begin with, he simply can't cover any ground. He's a big liability. And if you're not going to hit a bunch of home runs, he's had a mediocre offensive season. Let's just to play this out. If he were hitting home runs like Max Muncy, fine. He can make some errors out there and you just kind of live with it, and it is what it is. He's not doing that. He's not hitting like that. So if he's going to hit the way he is and play defense the way he is, I don't know how much longer you can use him full stop. I don't think you can use him in right field at all. I think you really need to move him over to the other side and see if you can survive with him out there.
Yeah, and in other games, Dave Roberts has been putting in Justin Dean as a defensive replacement, having him out there late in the game. But the thing is, he does that when they have the lead in the game, not when they're tied, especially knowing that Teoscar Hernández was coming up at bat, I think, third in the 10th inning if they had gone to extra innings. So I understand that point as well. And then the solution is, I know that you have a Gold Glove right fielder right there just waiting to potentially go back to right field, but the Dodgers aren't going to do it right now. So with 37 games left, you brought it up. There's other players that are coming back right now from the injured list with a Hae-Sung Kim, with Tommy Edman, missing Kike Hernandez, which, okay, you slot over Andy Pajes to right field. You put one of these guys at center and then put Teoscar at left. He's still going to have the same issues over at left field, but at least that's a bump when it comes to batting from Michael Conforto to Teoscar Hernández. So it's a plus replacement when it comes to at least one of the aspects right there.
You need somebody that can play right field at least league average, right? Like it's a fairly important defensive position. Left field, maybe a little bit less so. The right fielder needs to be at least mediocre, and he's not. He's full stop bad. And It really stinks because Teoscar Hernández is one of the more popular Dodgers on this team right now. Teoscar Hernández is clearly incredibly popular with his own teammates, with Dave Roberts, with fans. But, man, dropping fly balls or not getting the fly balls is that's an express to getting people not on your – that ball had to be caught last night, and it was on the heels of a couple of balls the day before. It was a really ugly night for him. Hopefully he shows up today, hits a couple of home runs, and we all go, okay, great. But that cannot happen, and there's no excuse for it. It was an awful play.
Yeah, and even Dave Roberts had something to say post-game. I'm watching the interview. I'm like, damn, Dave Roberts doesn't usually call out a player like he did to Teoscar Hernández yesterday, but it was that clear. He said he's got to get better out there. It's not for lack of effort, but he said he's got to be better out there, and everybody knows that. But you never see the manager call a player out like that.
Well, there's no choice. The manager's job is to protect its players if he can. But when there is no reasonable excuse for what has happened, you can't pretend something reasonable did happen. That's one of those, what do you want me to say, guys? You saw it too. It's not a good play. It's a play that has to be made. If he tried to soft pedal that at all, people would be looking at him like, dude, did you see what we saw? Because there was no ambiguity in that play. It was a mistake. It was a bad play. It cost them the game. It cost them a game against a team they should probably beat. And now, thank goodness, like you mentioned earlier, the Giants took care of the Padres, but it's still a missed opportunity. It's still a missed opportunity because you could have had a 3-game lead instead of a 2-game lead. It nearly became a 1-game lead. San Diego nearly came back and won that game after being down 4 runs late. But nobody can cover that. It was that bad of a play. Like you can't. As a Dodger fan, as a baseball person, I like to give players the benefit of the doubt. That's just not one of those plays that you can get. It's just a bad play, full stop.
And you go back also 3rd inning when he should have thrown the ball to second base. Karros was rounding second, got to 3rd. He threw it to 3rd. Karros was already there. Runner makes it to 2nd. One player later, he gets a single, gets the tying run to home plate, 2 runs in, ties the game, and that ended up being the difference at the end of the game. And even when that single made it out to the outfield, he didn't charge the ball as fast enough, and his arm isn't as dangerous as, for example, Andy Pages, who, if you put him out there at right field, he would be making that type of play. So it's not just a fluke. This has been a pattern this season.
Yeah, like you said, it's a mental error in throwing to the wrong base, and then it's a physical error and not closing out on the ball, not charging the ball, and then of course what we're talking about in the 9th inning, it's a twofer. Like you can live with the occasional mistake physically, but putting another runner in scoring position because you just don't understand the situation, that is a mental mistake that can't happen. And I'm a Teoscar fan, but that was a really rough night for him, a very rough night for him.
Same way. I was at Dodger Stadium, Game 2 of the World Series. When he hit the home run, I was going crazy.
Yep.
But at the same time, now it's like, okay, what is going on here? Because he entered the week 4th worst among right fielder this year with -8 outs above average. He's also tied for worst at fielding balls in front of him. And this, if you make that type of mistakes out in the outfield, it puts more pressure on your pitchers, more pressure on your defense, and it just ends up hurting the team overall. And the time is running out. You got to start making up, getting a bigger lead in the NL West if you want to win the division this year, which obviously that's the case. And also, now the Phillies, they have a game on you in the National League. So you're not only looking at the division, and in the past you were looking, we got 5 games at the top of the National League. No, now you're the 3rd best team in the National League. You got to look at that too.
Every time you play a series, you can lose. And while the Dodgers, if they're the 3rd division winner, you do not want to play in that wild card round. Sure, you get all 3 games at Dodger Stadium. You got a ton of starting pitching that the odds favor you, but we've seen it before. Weird stuff happens. Skip that round, and you'd rather win 11 games than have to win 14 or 13 or whatever the number is. And it was a bad loss last night. It really was.
And then you wouldn't have home field advantage in the DS. So that's another thing. Coming up on Locked On Dodgers, the Dodgers and Giants are founding members of the NL West, which they've been in since 1969. Will that change with expansion and realignment potentially coming in the near future?
This episode of Locked On Dodgers is brought to you by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already hitting. Preseason's almost over, and college football is starting this weekend. How about that? So whether you've got your eye on big-name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get into the game, right? Maybe you're looking at some guys like Joe Burrow. Maybe he's going to have another big year. Maybe Saquon Barkley goes back-to-back with big years. And you're thinking, how about a little more? Maybe you're looking at a guy like Aaron Rodgers thinking, I don't like that fit at all. Maybe you're thinking a little less. That is a great way to do it. And PrizePicks is simple. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. And if you get your picks right, that's it. You can cash in and win up to 2,000 times your money. And PrizePicks, of course, puts their members first. So all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. And the flex play option, total game changer. So even when one of your picks misses, you can still double your money. Download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks. Run your game.
Don't forget to follow Locked On Dodgers not only on YouTube, but on X, Instagram, and TikTok as well. You can find Travis on social media at Travis Rodgers on X and Instagram. Meanwhile, I'm at Harry Ruiz on X, at Harry_Ruiz on Instagram, and at Harry Ruiz_ on TikTok. Let us know if you are down for realignment happening in the majors or if it should stay as is. Commissioner Rob Manfred said the following while being interviewed on ESPN during Sunday Night Baseball's broadcast. I think if we expand, it provides us with an opportunity to geographically realign. I think we could save a lot of wear and tear on our players in terms of travel. And I think our postseason format would be even more appealing for entities like ESPN because you'd be playing out of the East and out of the West. End quote. Travis, this makes it sound like it's going to be instead of American and National League, like it would be converting to West and East. Then if you add 2 more teams, would it be 8 divisions of 4 teams each? What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's funny. I've given this a lot of thought. I talked about this on my radio show yesterday as well. And while I love baseball and I like the traditions of baseball and I like the history of baseball, I think all of those things are very important. I'm not necessarily one of these guys so you can never change anything. Look at what baseball has done in the last several years, and I think almost all of it has been a good idea. The expanding of the playoff field, I think, has been a good idea. You keep a lot more teams interested for a lot longer. The rule changes that they've made. I love the ghost runner. Sounds crazy in the 10th inning. You know what else it does? It ends the game. So you don't get a bunch of those 15, 16 inning games. So that was a good idea. Relief pitchers having to face 3 guys before you can change them again. I like that. The pitch clock has been a godsend. It's been terrific to pick up games. So I'm open to the idea of moving some things. It would be weird.
And ABS coming soon.
Absolutely. Do it tomorrow for all I care. The robot umps can't get here fast enough for me. But would it be weird to have a division that is the Dodgers, the Angels, the Diamondbacks, and the Padres? Yeah, it would. However you're going to do it. But, think the NBA, think hockey. You're still going to play everybody, but you're just going to have all the teams on one side of the Mississippi River in one division. All the teams on the other side are in a different one. And we'll get used to it. It'll be weird to have, I don't know what you'll call it, an American, a National League, an East and a Western Conference. I don't know. It'll be a change, but I'm not precious about this stuff. If it's a good idea, if it makes the playoff format better, quite frankly, if it's better for TV, that's better for the sport. I know that's a weird thing to think about, but if you're not on TV, it's not good. You need to be in a place where people can see your games pretty easily, especially the postseason. I'm open to the idea, and I'm not. I like it kind of the way it is right now, but I'm not going to be. You can't put the Dodgers in, and they can't be in the National League. Sure, you can. It happens all the time, and progress is almost always good.
Hey, and let's not forget, 1994, that was the year when the Braves, Reds, and Astros moved out of the National League West. And then you ended up having the Diamondbacks joining in 98, the Rockies joining in 93, and that's how you have the current division as it is at the moment. You brought up Jim Bowden. He proposed realignment. His proposed realignment is the following. You said the Dodgers division would be the Western one, Padres, Angels, D-backs, Dodgers. Meanwhile, the Pacific Coast division would be composed of Giants, Mariners, Athletics, and Rockies. Right now, I understand the Athletics being in that division because they're up in Sacramento. But when they're in Vegas, that would be prime time for the Dodgers to be in the same division as them, the Angels, and the Padres. It would be almost the same travel if you go from LA to Anaheim to San Diego to Vegas than from LA to San Francisco. So yes, the losing the rivalry in the division would suck. We absolutely despise the Giants, but we love playing them 4 times a year. But it would make a lot of sense. I make that drive a lot of times per year because I live in Vegas. So selfishly, if the Dodgers are in the same division as the A's, I would be able to see them 4 times a year just down the street from where I live. So that would be great. But the drive is super easy. The flight is even better if you're in a charter. So it would be a home run, in my opinion, being able to realign. And now also, each divisional winner would be 2 of them would make it to the DS directly, and the other 2 would be the home field advantage teams in the wild card round.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that until you start to do it, it's going to feel weird. And then after a year or so of doing it, you're like, oh, okay, this is just how it is. It will be weird if the Dodgers and the Giants are not in the same division right up until it's not anymore. Like you said, these divisions change all the time. The Reds and the Dodgers used to be in the NL West. The Dodgers and the Braves used to be in the NL West. Think about the NFL where the St. Louis Rams, the New Orleans Saints, Atlanta Falcons were in the NFC West all at the same time. With the westernmost team that wasn't all the way out here in California in the Niners was the St. Louis Rams. Stuff changes. Realignment is fine. And look, I'll give baseball a lot of credit. Like I mentioned in the beginning, most of their ideas have been pretty good. I also think that they did do this and it didn't work. You can always shuffle the deck again and come up with something different if it's not what you want. These things aren't set in stone. And the last thing I'll say about this, Harry, is I do think part of the reason that Rob Manfred kind of lobbed a realignment and an expansion balloon out there is because they know they have a labor fight coming and they're trying to chum the water a little bit with some distractions to try to get you away from the fact that there might not be any baseball at all.
Yeah, and honestly, in the NL West right now, Travis, for the Dodgers, like I said, despise the Giants. The Padres, they're starting to be a pain in the butt. But with the Rockies, the D-backs, they're insignificant in the Dodgers world. When it comes to football, for example, AFC West, there's a team in Los Angeles, the Chargers, Chiefs, you got the Broncos and the Raiders. I call the Raiders games. I'm a Raiders game. Equal opportunity hater for all 3 of our divisional rivals.
Yeah.
In baseball, it doesn't feel the same. Yes, it would suck losing the Giants rivalry as much as it happens. But right now, 13 games against each of your divisional rivals, 6 or 7 games against the other 10 teams in the league, and then 46 interleague games, which means that you travel to every stadium in the opposing league every other year. So you would still play the Giants at least 6 or 7 times a year, 1 series in San Francisco, 1 in LA if they're not in the same division.
Yeah, this stuff, like I'll steal one of my favorite baseball cliches ever. This stuff tends to work itself out. This stuff tends to fix itself. Will it be what you and I grew up with? No. But what you and I grew up with was not what our dads grew up with, and it's not what their grandfathers grew up with. It changes all the time. It used to be just the World Series, 2 leagues. Then we went to CSs. Then we added division rounds. Then we added wild cards. We've seen teams go from the American League to the National League and vice versa. It happens all the time, and the world will keep spinning if they realign again.
Yeah, out of how many championships do the Yankees have? How many did they have to win? As many games as the Dodgers did last year?
Not all of them, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's a completely different world. Well, that will do it for today's show. From Travis and I, thanks for making Locked On Dodgers your first listen. If you're still craving more baseball talk, have the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night be your second listen. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find it on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. And also catch Pete Fox after every Dodgers game on our YouTube channel with his live postcast. We'll be back on Wednesday. Will the Dodgers bats wake up, or will they have another stinker in hitter-friendly Coors Field? We appreciate you riding with us. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it Dodger Blue.